Yeah,
time.
quarters with things.
Oh, I don't want everybody in at once.
You do everybody at once.
No, I don't let people just come in when they want.
Oh, either do I.
Oh, really? You always look like you're like racing.
One.
Hey, Emma. How are you? Oh, you're muted. Wait.
You muted her. Over.
No, I didn't mean to mute you. There we go. How are you?
How's it going, Emma?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
You as well. It's been a while.
It has been a while. You're like a grown-up now, huh?
Yeah, I'm 18, which is nice.
Official.
Yes.
How's it going, Matt? Admit. Do. Hi. I'm just gonna unmute everyone and then mute yourself if you have background noise, but otherwise it's okay to chat. Oh, what? So bossy. Hey, Eric. Oh, Adam, you made it.
Classic view, Adam.
It totally is a classic Adam view. We see your eyeballs.
Forehead.
Okay. Well, there are more coming, but we'll just get started. It's so good to see all of you guys. Emma is from our first cohort, which is really, really fun to see her. Yeah, we just kind of wanted to chat with everybody and try to kind of figure out what the hurdles are, and a huge part of that is obviously hearing, hey Matt, I've got 3 of you rocking the hospital beds today. Jeepers. But yeah, so just part of that we've found in the past is from really hearing other people's stories and understanding where that inspiration came from and how they've been able to maintain that. And so we wanted to bring in Emma from our first cohort, who is like the balancing of life and disease management queen, and absolutely rocked all of her goals, which was amazing. And Adam, who some of you know from this cohort, but is also probably reached out to you guys for data and stuff like that. Who's done amazing things as well, and Brian, who will be joining us shortly. And so, yeah, I think maybe we'll let you, Adam and Emma, go first, and then Mike and I'll kind of follow it up, and we can do kind of a Q&A. Sorry, we're not at the office today. We're just hanging out in our backyard, so we're kind of like going for the windblown look.
Oh, that's so nice, though. It's nasty out here. It's been storming for the last 5 days.
Oh. Matt was talking about that too. You're in Ontario, right, Matt? Matt,
Yep.
yes.
Yes.
Down at the bottom.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I don't know, Emma, you're always a rock star. You'll go first, right?
Thanks, Kat.
Or Adam.
I can go. That's fine. I have a staff dinner tonight.
Okay.
6:45 Eastern time. I have to go, so that's still 45 minutes away.
Perfect.
So I did the first cohort, and since then, my lung function is actually 93 right now.
Oh my, that's amazing.
I've never seen it that high. I got down to the 50s and 60s a few times, and that was really tough to deal with, just bringing it back up, because that's a big jump to make.
Yes.
But what I found is, and I'm still doing the training that Mike gave me, as well as more triathlon stuff, running, cycling, and swimming on my own. It's a lot easier to manage my disease. So I also, in addition to cystic fibrosis, I have CFRD, which has been more challenging for me to deal with, I think, than the CF, which is really confusing because it seems a lot simpler to manage. But I found that there was about a 2-month period where I slacked, which means like I was testing 3 times a day and not like 8 like I should have been. So my blood sugars were going up to like 9, which isn't great. So that was the one thing I struggled with after the cohort for a little bit. But after that, my mom just sat me down. She's like, you won't be able to do triathlon or anything if you don't take care of yourself. So that kind of got me pushing back in gear. So every day I'm doing a morning walk. I didn't like walking. I just listened to a podcast. It's like the same distance as the time, so it works out really well. And then I go to work. I work 40 hours a week. I'm a lifeguard and an instructor for swimming. And then I go on my breaks and I swim because we have access to a pool. But that's kind of how I've been staying active. And I think it's really helpful just to have everything together.
Absolutely. And can you talk about like where you were A1C wise, like when you started the program and where you are now? And then also just like, I think it's super good. I think we all have this feeling of like, oh, there's too much stuff to get done in one day. I don't have time for it. And I think you're the best example of like, I can't believe all that you fit into a day and how you prioritize things. And I think that's really helpful for people to hear.
Yeah, for sure. So when I started on the program, I was on prednisone for about a year, and then continuously through the program, and about a year later, I was on steroids, like 60 milligrams a day, and I didn't get the chance to taper because every time I would get down to 10 milligrams, I would get sick again. So I'd have to go back up to 60 for like 7 months and then try to come back down. And I found that when I'm sick, it's really hard for me to do any of my treatment. So we don't do vest over here. I've recently reintroduced that to my treatment regimen just because I have one. I just have to use it in accordance with a PEP mask, a cappella, autogenic drainage, and then all of the nebulized medications. So I was still sitting, like my A1C when I started was at 10.6. Which is really unhealthy, especially for my age. Like I'm only 18, so for it to already have been that high was really dangerous because when your A1C is high, there's a lot of effects. So my vision is 20/50 now, it's not 20/20. And also I have a really, really hard time when I'm on steroids, just like sleeping. So I was sleeping maybe 3 to 4 hours a night, which is also not healthy. But with Mike's training, and then Kat also helped me a lot with just thinking of how to live with CF because it was really difficult to do on my own. I was going to oh, 1 minute, my thing is going off. Low blood sugar, all good. Happens all the time. But my A1C was at like 10.6, 10.8. And then through the training, I eventually got it down. I'm sitting at 5.2 now, which is beautiful. It's never been that low, but that's ideally where I want it to sit. And it doesn't stay that low without actually trying to keep it down there. So I do have to try to do 2 hours of exercise a day, my 2 hours of treatment a day, because once your lungs are out of whack, you have all this inflammation, which drives up your blood sugar. And once your blood sugar is healthy, it's really easy to tell when you're getting sick. So for an example, a few weeks ago, my blood sugar one day spiked to 23, which is nowhere near normal. And it kept staying high throughout the day. So I was like, what's happening? So it ended up that I had an infection in my right upper lobe. That's where I get them. And the only reason I knew was because of my blood sugar. So that's one thing. I think it's really important to keep my A1C, my blood sugars normal, just because if you don't, there's a lot of repercussions that can happen because of it. Also my daily schedule. It's been a little revamped since the program. So every day I get up at 5 and then I do my treatment for an hour and a half. Then I go coach swimming. So I coach our Bronze Star kids for lifeguarding. It's not the actual class, but I do help them with stroke improvement, stroke correction, and endurance. After that, I do a 1 to 2 hour swim. After that, I go on a 1 hour walk. I come home, I do more treatment. And then I go to work, swim on my break, work again, come home. I eat like 10,000 calories in between all of this. And then when I get home, I do treatment again, and then I do another workout downstairs, most likely, or I will go on a bike ride. And I find it's a lot to do in one day. I have Sundays off of work. That's it. I work Monday through Saturday. But if I don't manage my time effectively and I don't know what I'm doing, I get really lazy really fast. And a lot of that is to do with electronic, my phone, my iPad. So I try to stay off of those as much as I can, and I only use them for purposes that really are medical now and tracking my fitness. So one thing that I found really helped with that was making a planner. So on my whiteboard, I have one downstairs. I keep a daily organizer of what to do for what hour. And if I fall out of that hour, I have to take something that's non-essential and move it out. So I have an hour set for reading every day. I take that out and I'll put something else in there. And I found that once I made a planner for my day, it was a lot easier to just do something and not just sit around on the couch. But it was a lot more effective in terms of keeping my health in check as well, because once I was doing everything routine, I was getting like 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. My FEV1 skyrocketed. My weight was finally back to normal, and everything was just under control. So I think, and especially Kat and Mike really helped me with that, especially when I would just have the sessions where me and Kat would talk about how I was managing, how we could manage. It was very helpful because that's really hard to do on your own. There's no way that I would have been able to do that without like the helping or the coaching, because that's just something that was not in my wheelhouse. But Kat really helped me with that. So yeah, that's my busy day. It's very lengthy. So 5 o'clock is not a fun time to get up, but yeah.
Thank you so much, Emma. Yeah, really appreciate it. So fun to see you again and see you feeling so well. I think when you got into the cohort, you were in 60s, right? For FEV.
Yeah, I was 67.
I think so too.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, I was gross.
Stop it.
My lungs were so heavy.
Not feel well at all. And
my weight was down at like 110, and now I'm at 132, which is awesome. And I finally got off Pediasure. I'm on to Boost now. I only have 4 a day. The Pediasure is only from ages 1 to 13. We kept going with that. We really extended it, but they don't cover it anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think your max was like 12 or 14 cans a day, right?
Yeah, I think I got to 22 one day. I think because I would get up in my sleep and I would wake up and there was lasagna on my bed table. I woke up one night and there was a pita on my pillow and I'd eaten half of it already. It's a wild ride here in the house. Right now, my family's gone on vacation for a week, so they left me with almond milk, and that was it. So I went grocery shopping, got like 12 lasagnas.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Thank you. Well, we'll have Adam go and then maybe have people ask questions if they have any. And does that sound good? All right, Adam, you're on.
Okay. Hello. She's like, why did you pick me go second? Like, she's so much better. Good God. So, anyways, I'm kind of like the other end of the spectrum with CF, which is kind of odd. I kind of wish, I would have had this program when I was younger with CF, because if I would have paid for it, if I would have paid attention to it, I think I would be in a lot different place than I am right now. I just got put on the transplant list last week, so I'm, my FEV1's at 30, and I am hanging out at Johns Hopkins Hospital for the next few days here because I just like it here so much. So, but no. So I actually help out with Attain Health behind the scenes. I also run the substance abuse program. Also help with the data, collecting data when everybody fills out their applications. So if you might see some emails from me or Brian as far as the data goes, that really helps us, have complete data to give to the grant people when the program's done, to show that, successes, and if someone was successful, we can explain why, as they're followed through the program. So, but I've only been with Attain Health since September. And when I started, I knew no people in the world of CF. And I was a very lonely person. My anxiety was like ridiculous. And I weighed 105 pounds out of the hospital. And I didn't start all of Attain Health at once either, because I was, I don't know if I was skeptical or I was afraid of Mike or what, but at first I was just like, I just want to do this part, Kat. Let's just talk for a little bit. So, so Kat and I, we started with with my weight because that was, what I wanted to work on at the time. And, we passed some recipes back and forth. And then I also found that, I develop a schedule as well in Excel. My day doesn't start quite at 5 a.m. It more like starts around like 10 or 11 a.m., but who's counting? So, so I get up around, my goal right now is to get up at 10 a.m. every day. And so I get up and I do my, I do my treatments, I'll do my airway clearance, and then I'll do my workout. Then I'll come back and finish, my Advair or whatever, and then get in the shower. And then after that, I'll do my, if I'm on my alternating antibiotic. So that's kind of my daily schedule. But the one thing I think that helped me a lot was, especially with the weight gain, I would say would be the meal planning. As far as like, I am lazy, and if I have left my own devices, I will sit there and drink Boosts forever. Instead of like making a meal, I will, oh, it's time for dinner. What am I going to have? If it's not written down, I'm having a Boost. So I found that by, writing my meals out, and actually, my goal is to eat every 3 hours, whether I'm hungry or not. So I'm at least getting some calories in me. And so Kat and I, we kind of worked on this for a while, and I weighed 100. So I started 105 pounds, and in January I weighed 130 pounds, and been kind of teetering there right now with getting sick and stuff. I'm about 127 pounds right now. So, so that was, one of the things I can say, from working with Kat was that was one of the things we worked on. The other thing I'll say to everybody is this program is you get out of it what you put into it. If you put in very little effort, that's what you're going to get. A lot of things that motivate me. I don't know. I listen to the Rocky theme song when I wake up. That kind of helps me get going. Also, I just wake up every morning and, I have a decision of who I want to be every day when I wake up. And I can be the person that said I was going to do everything and get to the end of the day and be like, oh man, look at that. And then be mad at myself. Or I can be the person that says, oh, well, I was feeling like crap today, but I did some of my workout. I might not have done all of it, but I did some of it. So at least I did something, or, at least I followed my meals, and, learned, I find that at least for me with CF and the people that I've known come across so far, we're all very hard on ourselves and critical of ourselves if, one thing doesn't go right, because we're supposed to be these perfectionist people, because we're not different, right? We're not humans, so, so I've learned, I've also learned from working with Kat to, kind of forgive myself a little bit when, when it didn't go my way, when I didn't follow my schedule or something. So, so that was, my experiences with Kat. And then, so in December, I met Mike and gave my first week of workouts. And I was really impressed at, like, I think I even sent him an email or something saying, hey man, thanks for finally giving me a workout that wasn't too hard. It wasn't too easy. It was like right in the sweet spot. Which is what I really like about working with Mike, because you can sit there and, like I'm in the hospital right now, and if I'm in here more than another couple of days, I'll just hit up Mike and say, hey, send me a hospital workout, and he'll, give me some workouts to do in the hospital, So, but I work out 7 days a week, not nearly as much as Emma, but I still work out. So, but I found and actually I was in I started what's the name of that class? Mindfulness-based stress reduction with Dash. What's her first name? Something Dash. Julie Dash?
Julie.
Okay.
Julie Dash.
Yeah, and she said something really cool in the first meeting last week that I thought was really neat was anytime you're trying to start a new habit, to tie something to it that you already do as a habit. So if you, like for instance, so I tied like my workouts to my morning medicine. So that's actually part of my med routine is my workout in between, because I consider my workouts as airway clearance, as I'm doing that, because I'll do like an aerobic. I don't do a vest because I've never got a good, result from it. But so I'll do everything, hit my workout, and then, it's part of my routine. So it's ingrained in my head. And the other thing I did, which is kind of fun to do if you got the right people, is kind of have some accountability groups. I have, I have a couple accountability partners I see right now. And so it's kind of cool just, like Brian's one of them, if I don't see he's worked out or something, or he hasn't seen I worked out or something, then I'll just be like, hey, what's up? Like, what are you doing? And, it usually pushes you to at least, to do something, and then I also help out. Just, some people would just say, hey, can you just send me a reminder to do a workout every day? And so I do that as well. You know who you are, smiling there. I see you. So I like helping people too. So I'd be happy to do that for anybody, for anything.
He's really good at it. He doesn't take no for an answer.
So yeah, so I guess that's kind of how I can sum it up. As far as my experience so far, I just think the program, like I said, I wish I would have had this when I was younger and healthier, because I don't think I'd be sitting here on a transplant list right now. I think I would probably still be working full time and doing all the things I was able to do. So I think that's all I got for now.
Thank you, Adam. So appreciate it. All right, Brian, you're up. You have to speak for an extra 5 minutes because you were tardy, though.
I knew that was coming.
Just kidding.
I'm so sorry. So good news and bad news out of my tardiness today. So I was at a car show. Some of you know that I have a classic car and some don't, but I have a car that I take to shows and been working on it for several years. Well, today I was planning on leaving the car show early so I could come home and do the seminar and be prompt and on time. And right as I was packing up to leave, they were giving out the awards, and I won Best of Show, which just floored me.
Awesome.
So I know, it was so cool. So I had to stay for an extra picture, which I haven't got to the bad news yet. So I get ready. That was at like 1:45, and I only live about 5 minutes from there, so no big deal. So then I get in my car to head home, and I have no brakes. My brakes went out. So I had to drive 5 miles an hour for like 5 miles, and so that's why I was here a little late. So
sorry.
I get out and I'm rushing in and throw on my oxygen because I wasn't wearing it at the time, and now my heart's dropped back down to normal and I can actually breathe again now. So, but anyways, that was my quick little funny story of the day, but very true. So, but I was super excited. It's my first win in a car show, and to get Best of Show just floored me. So it was cool.
Good thing they didn't judge you on your brakes.
What's that?
Good thing they didn't judge you on your brakes.
No kidding.
The detailing helped.
Yeah.
What's that? Exactly, right?
Nice.
Spend a bunch of money on detailing your car. Don't worry about the brakes. They'll be fine. But anyways, that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about Attain Health. I don't know how much background everybody kind of gave. None?
Yeah. Yes, background. I thought you meant, did we introduce you before you were here? And no.
Oh. Okay. So you want me to talk about prior to Attain Health and all that a little bit, or not?
Say maybe a short snippet, and then
I'll just lead up to it.
Yeah.
So about let's see, almost 2 years ago now, about a year and a half ago, I finally got to the point to where I was too sick to work anymore. I was on oxygen full time, so I gave up my career as a general manager of a farm and ranch company, and made the decision that I would, actually, to back up, it was time for transplant. It'd come up from my doctors, and so that's when I had pulled the trigger to quit working. So the next couple of months were kind of scary and hectic because I was getting nervous for transplant, and I had scheduled my appointments in Seattle for the transplant evaluation, and those were coming up around March. Well, and this was November. So I had a few months, and I did, of course, what everybody else did. I went and got a membership to the gym, and I'm like, I'm going to get in the best shape as I can for transplant. I tried doing as much exercise as I could, but I had no clue what I was doing. I ate beyond horrible, but I didn't change that at this point because I didn't think that was affecting my health very much. And then I came across Kat and Mike. I just happened to see it on I think it was a Facebook page or something. And I sent in a quick application and note and said, hey, I have to go through transplant evaluation. I want to get as strong as I can for that. And, is there anything that we can do? And it took a little while and pleading and begging, but she finally let me in the group, which I'm super thankful for. And so I started Attain Health basically 2 weeks before I went to Seattle for transplant evaluation. I was at the lowest, I was about 22% of lung function and on oxygen 24/7. The program itself was great. It really opened my eyes to the different things that are available to us. And just like Adam said, I wish I could have gone back 5 years ago and started doing this, or even 10 years for that matter, because it would have added several years to my life. And that's just, and you do have to put in the work. It is hard work. Nothing's easy, and we all know that. But the thing that distinguishes it between anything else was just the fact that the workouts are totally tailored to your condition. So at the beginning I was like, I don't know if I can join a group that's got people that are at 100% lung function. There's no way I'll be able to keep up my exercises with them. And quickly found out that that's not the case at all. It was tailored strictly to my health condition at that time being. And then it changed on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis on the stronger I got and the more I was able to do. So that was probably one of the coolest parts of it. The other benefit was just kind of the mental health side of it, as far as your mental mind being when you start to get sicker and sicker. I think you kind of always think, every time you get sick, you think, okay, here it comes. I don't know if I'm going to be hospitalized again, or if this is going to be the last one that does me in. When you get this low, you do start thinking of that, and it does wear on your mind, and it's tough sometimes. And so having the one-on-one chats and setting goals and just being able to talk about it and acknowledge that is how sick you are, and that you can either dwell on it and sulk on it, or you can kind of get off your butt and do something about it, and maybe you'll stabilize, maybe you'll get a little better, you never know. And I certainly chose to do the latter, because at that point I had no choice. I was down to last resort. So it was either transplant time or I was going to get sicker and sicker. So I did that, and it helped tremendously, and it turned my life around. And that was in March of not quite 2 years ago, but a year and a half ago. And I've been with the program ever since, religiously. Like Adam, and I know Emma worked out a bunch, but I didn't hear her spiel yet with this because I was a little late. But like them, it's hard work. I do it 6 days a week. I do take Sundays off, but I also mow my yard on Sundays and pull weeds. And as all of you know, doing chores like that is as much of a workout as anything. So I do get exercise 7 days a week. And, it's tough. I could sit here and tell you that I've never missed one single workout, but that's not true. I have. It comes up and things come up. But the important thing is you get back up the next day and you realize that you got to, get in gear and hit the streets again and do it again. And then the other great thing about this is what Adam was touching on, is the peer support. I didn't know very many. Actually, I knew hardly any CF people other than myself and my sister for years and years growing up. And just this last year and a half, meeting all these great people through Attain Health creates amazing friendships and amazing peer support. And and everybody can say, well, I don't need any peer support, I'm fine, I can do it on my own. And I was kind of like that. That's my thought in the beginning. But it's super beneficial, and it gives you that extra push that sometimes we all need. And just a friendly, whatever it is, having a contest on who can check in on their Trainer Eyes app, or who can finish their workout before the other and text them and say, "Ha, I'm done. What have you been doing?" And it kind of makes light and fun out of what we're doing, and that's that we're trying to survive and be as stable as we can and get as healthy as we can. And I think that's a huge part of it. And we started doing a lot of these peer support groups, and a lot of us have really become friends even outside of Attain Health, and we're constantly on the phone with each other. And when one is sick, all the others are worried like crazy and checking in on them every couple hours. And I'm sure Adam can get kind of sick of me pestering him with that. "Are you okay? Is everything all right?" But it shows that I care, and I know that he cares, and he'd do the same when I'm in the hospital. So it's nice to have that support. And the best part is, they know exactly what you're going through, and you know exactly what they're going through, because a lot of us are in the very same similar boat. We might be at different stages of the progression of our disease, but that doesn't, it's still the same concept. We're all there supporting the same cause, whether it be fighting weight gaining control, or blood sugar levels, or getting healthy for transplant, or whatever your part of the mission you're on, because that's what kind of everybody's there for. And the kicker, this is free. There's nothing free out there, hardly at all. Not only that, if you do find something free, I can guarantee it's not going to be tailored to the level of disease that you've progressed to, or the type of condition you're in. It's going to be somebody from a gym or a CrossFit or someplace that'll give you some good ideas. Might be good for strengthening the core, the lungs, or cardio, but it's not going to be totally tailored to you. To get something totally tailored to you, you have to go through a private trainer, and that's very expensive. And you don't even know if they're going to know about CF or what that is. And chances are probably most of them don't. So I don't see how anybody could pass up the free part of that opportunity, because that's just amazing. But with that being said, there's also things we all have to do for it to continue being free, and for it to be a good free thing. It's important that we measure our success, and hopefully not, but if we have declines, but it's important that we measure every aspect of it, so we know if it's working or if it's not working. So, if I didn't work out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I went to clinic and had PFTs and they were lower, and I started brewing an exacerbation, and then, Kat or Mike would talk to me and say, "Hey, how was your workouts?" If I say, "Oh, well, I haven't been doing them," and then, wow, coincidentally, I'm all of a sudden sicker, it's like, wait a minute, does that kind of correlate together? And then a big flashlight goes on in your head, and you're like, yeah, it certainly could be part of it. And so just us being able to track everything, and to see those amazing results. The more everybody wants to succeed, for your own reasons, whether it's for yourself, for your family, for your husband, wife, anything like that. And for us to keep succeeding, it's important that other companies out there see our results, so they can say, "Hey, this program is really working for some people. Let's try to get it out to more people." And the more that we can get it out to people and motivate people to kind of take it into their own hands and run with it, I think a lot of people will have success with it, and feel good about themselves. I can tell you this, that after a year and a half, I would have thought that I would have already been transplanted and be leading a totally different life right now. But instead, I have lung function back up to around 40%, which I hadn't had in 5 years. And not only that, I've stayed completely stable without dropping off at all for almost the last 8-9 months, which is, it's crazy. I've never stabilized or even gone up a little bit. I've just gradually declined over the last 15 years. And so it's amazing to see that. And I guarantee a huge part of it is Attain Health, exercise, peer support, all these things tied together, that's what has done it for me. And I'm somebody that didn't believe in exercise at all 2 years ago. So I can definitely say that, kind of like what Adam said, it's so true. What you put into this is what you'll get out of it. If you put nothing into it and exercise once a week, you're not going to see any results. And that's just being honest. But if you put the work in and go for it, even if you just came stable, that's a win in anybody's book, especially the lower health condition that you might be in, because we're all at different levels, but being able to stabilize is what we all aim to do before we get to that transplant level, if we get to that. And so I think it's super important, and I'm just super grateful, and I've met a lot of wonderful people through it, and I couldn't be happier. I could probably ramble on for the rest of the time, but I'll cut it short.
Thanks so much, Brian. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good to have you. So does anybody, I know Emma, you have to go in just like 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, I actually have a quick question.
Yeah.
Brian, is that your dog with you?
Always. Cooper.
So of course.
Oh my goodness. That was a big question the whole time. I was like, there's a dog there.
So I have two dogs, Roscoe and Cooper, and one's chilling in the hallway, and then the other one's right by my side like he always is.
Awesome. But yeah, does anybody have any questions of like anything you heard, or yeah, Lauren?
Yeah, I actually have a question for Emma because I know she has to run out. So you mentioned that you use, I don't know if you use an app or something to kind of keep track of your fitness. And I didn't know if you also, because I know you mentioned that you have CF-related diabetes, which I was just diagnosed with about a month ago.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you have any advice, or if you have an app that you use, or just different ways to kind of track your fitness, your life, your CFRD, things like that.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed in 2012. So down here, we do, and by down here I mean I'm in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. We do things a little bit differently than in the States. So when you're 12, we have to do mandatory glucose tolerance tests. So that's when I was diagnosed. I used a Fitbit. Loved my Fitbit to death. It was my best friend forever. Last week it broke. That's how I kept my fitness going. I got a Garmin though in replacement. And I've been using that to do my workouts, and it's really helped me manage both my diabetes, my CF, and just everyday things. So I can print out my trends, which I think is really helpful. So if I notice that my blood sugars are going up and my FEV1 is going down, maybe I haven't been working out as much. And I think that accountability, I don't really have anyone that keeps me accountable. My mom will just be like, "You doing anything today?" And I'll be like, yeah. But I found that just using like the fitness trackers works really well. Also, automatic refills from the pharmacy are very helpful. If you don't manage your disease properly, they will send you products which you have too many of, especially Medtronic, I found. So I didn't use my sensors, which monitor your blood sugar, when I had blood sugar like crazy when I was on steroids. And I found that I had 6 boxes in my cupboard just from having not used my devices. And I said to myself, if I have all of these things, I'm not using it, how am I really managing my disease? So I obviously wasn't managing it very well. So I just stepped up to the plate and did it myself. And this is after I was in the cohort. Like this happened a few months later. I'm also on, it's attached to my arm right now, it's gonna like pull out, but I'm also on the 630G pump. Thankfully they're covered over here when you are a pediatric patient, and I got mine just before I started the adult clinic. But before I used my pump, there was this really great app I used. I can get the name and send it to Kat, but it was free. They also have one that you can pay for. It was like $16, which $16 was worth it in 3 hours because it showed my trends without the pump. But you put what you eat, how many carbs it was. If you carb count, I have to because I'm on a pump, but I know before I did not. And it allows you to do anything. And I found the freedom of having it on my phone really helped, because I'm not someone who likes writing anything down in a planner, like on paper. I like doing a lot of things electronically so I can have them with me. But I definitely signed up for automatic refills at the pharmacy and from the Medtronic, and then I just have my pump going on. And if I can't look at my data and have an accurate result, what's been happening over the last 2 weeks, and I get a call from diabetes clinic saying, hey, you have an appointment tomorrow, which happened 3 weeks ago, I have no data for them, that's really not good. So that's just how I stay accountable. I'm going to grab something really quickly. It's like 2 steps away.
Emma
I keep
has a binder and like tracks like what drug she's on each time she's in the hospital, and if they work or not, and how she feels, and she's a rock star.
I keep every piece of paper the hospital gives me just in a flip out binder. It's all color coded. I like colors. I think they're awesome. But I use these things. They just say like daily medication, because I told my mom she had to stop doing my medication thing because I don't actually know what I'm taking. So me having to look at the containers, I know what I'm taking. But I just have everything I'd need. And if I find that I don't have something, I need it or I'm not using it. So I found that if I don't have the right drugs and I know what I should be taking, that something's off. So that's kind of how I stay accountable. I also have reminders on my phone that say, like, test your blood sugar, or you're going to have high blood sugar at dinner, and then you can't eat lasagna.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
You can't eat lasagna if you have high blood sugar. It's going to make it way worse, because it's like 20 grams of carbs per half of the lasagna.
Yeah.
Can I add in something about I would get a Dexcom monitor. I used to always have like the finger prick one, and it was just a hassle having to carry that around like everywhere you go and like check before you eat. But like with the monitor, like it's just implanted in your arm like that, or wherever it's not supposed to go in your arm, but you can put it in your arm. And then like it just updates on your phone. So I just carry like my iPhone, and then it'll just be like this. So like I just ate, so it's like going back up. That way I can just like check my phone, as opposed to like whipping out this little thing at a dinner table, having to like check my blood sugar in front of all my friends, and it's just kind of like a hassle. This way I can just look at my phone and know where I'm trending. So that's a lot easier for me.
And how long does it last on your arm for? Like, do you have to get a new one?
It's supposed to be for a week.
Okay.
But I leave it on. You can leave it up to 2 weeks with the G5. Apparently, the newest one though has like a strict 10-day cutoff, but it pretty much lasts like 14 days. I use it for 14 days.
And you just do it at home, right? It just.
Yeah, like so it's like an injection. It's pretty weird the first few times you do it, but
yeah, it doesn't mess up your working out or anything.
No, like I work out pretty intensely. When I put on my belly, which is like the suggested spot, it kind of got in the way of working out. So like the tricep area is best for me, or like you can put on your leg. I've seen it on your leg, but that gets in the way. Yeah, the triceps is best for me, and it stays on. Usually I get like I'll have like a Tegaderm IV covering, and I'll cut it out and put it over top, and that way it will stay on even better. Especially if I'm sweating a lot or exercising. Yeah.
And just before I go, because to add on to Matt's point, I have the same sort of thing. So I have the Medtronic, so it shows with a graph, and you can go back 12 hours. That's the Medtronic 630G system. So it's a little different. I've heard awesome things about the Dexcom. Mine only lasts for 4 days because I'm in the pool, so which is really inconvenient. And then you have to have so I have a separate insertion site in my arm. So I have to do 1 in my stomach or 2 in my stomach, 1 leg, but my sensor can only go in my stomach. I also carry around this. This is a new bag I got it today. I'm really impressed with this bag. Makeup bag for shoppers, because I'm not a makeup fan, but I love these cosmetic bags now. They're the biggest lifesaver. Wherever I go, I keep all my stuff with me, and it's a lot, but it's helpful. So I always have a Boost on me, because we know a girl gets hungry when she's driving. So it's tough reality. You're eating 10,000 calories a day. You can never get enough in. But I also I keep an insertion site with me, sensors, my enzymes, because one thing I'm really bad at is taking my enzymes, even though I know like I'm not going to feel good if I don't take my enzymes. Like, things are not going to end up well for me. So I always keep these with me, and I have an automatic reminder because I should go through this bottle in about 15 days. And if it's been more than 15 days, we know we're having some issues. But I found just keeping everything with me really helps, because if I don't have it with me and I go out to eat, I just don't eat. So
And it's useful if you're a girl and you can carry a purse around.
yeah,
As a man,
I don't
you have pockets.
I don't carry a purse. I use a fanny
I
pack.
pull out 1,000 things out of my pockets. I'll be like, shh.
Oh yeah, no, I don't like purses. I think they're too much. I'm not that type of person. I bring a massive fanny pack everywhere I go.
Yep.
We get IV fanny packs over here. We don't get those really cool bottles you guys have. I wish we did. But we have these fanny packs which go like the length of my stomach. I fell in love with it. So I have one bedazzled. So obviously, and I won't manage any of my medication if I don't like the way it looks. I'm a very color-coded person. So I noticed that once I made things nice and pretty, I did. That's especially like with my med bins. I won't use my medication if it's not put together. Like, I just will not remember where it is. So once I did this though, like, life was better. And I did my entire closet stay. It took 9.5 hours, but it was worth it.
Your day off. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, why not organize a closet full of medication on a Sunday? I got to go. I am really sorry. I also have to drop off 2 bags of expired medication. Gotta watch out for that saline.
Not even ask.
Yeah, it's because we ordered too much hypertonic and too much salbutamol.
There.
And you can't you can't nebulize that once it's expired. Very dangerous.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Have a wonderful day. I will send you the information about the app. But there's a few. There's some really good ones. There's also this planner that you can get online on Amazon. It's a blood sugar one. It has like a spot for everything. I'll send the link for that too. It's like $4.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, I will see you later.
Emma, good to see you.
So good to see you.
Just to add again with the diabetes, I've had it for like 10 years now. Eating the same thing consistently helps a lot, like manage highs and lows. Like, yeah, you may not want to eat the same food every day, but it's a lot easier to like figure out when you're going to have a spike or not, depending on like what you eat, as opposed to different meals every day. Especially if you're carb counting, it's hard. And if you eat out, it's a guessing game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's really good advice. Anybody else have any more questions before Mike launches into his spiel?
No question. No, just briefly, I think that the common thread between Emma and Brian and Adam there is consistency. And whether it's working out or whatever your goal is, nutrition doesn't matter, but being consistent is the most important aspect of achieving your goal. You don't have to hit a home run every day, unless you're Emma.
Yeah,
okay.
Then you do.
but just a little bit every day, whether it's workout. If you can't do the whole workout or you don't feel up for doing a whole workout, take 10 minutes to stretch. Just do something, and that helps you feel better. Helps establish the habit of doing that workout, and this could again apply to any goal at all. And it's something to build on too. So you have something, you did it, and now the next day maybe do a little bit more. And the other thing too with workout or goals is I think Adam and Brian did mention that if the feeling that you have to be perfect and that you can't miss, and if you miss, then you might as well just throw it all away and not do anything at all. So I think it's helpful if you kind of look ahead at your week and say, I'm going to do, just like Emma said, like, be organized. I'm going to work out these days this week, or I'm going to plan my meals, or whatever it is. Just look at that week and take it that week, and 1 week at a time or one day at a time, and plan it out. Just intentionally say, this is what I'm going to do today, or I'm going to do that this week. And you're just a lot more likely to do that once you say that this is how it's going to work. But there are going to be the other kind of counterpart to that is there are going to be mishaps and things come up, and maybe you don't do your workout that day, or you don't eat the way you want to that day. Then you also like just let that go. Like, that's past, it's over. We can't do anything about that anymore. The only thing we can do now is to move forward and make the next day the day you want it to be. So yeah, that's kind of my brief spiels. Be consistent. Consistency always trumps, high intensity one day and nothing the next 5. And forgive yourself too is kind of the other thing I think is, if it doesn't work out one day, that's okay. We're going to move on. We're moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just to kind of piggyback what Mike said, like, I feel like we all have the opportunity to make choices, right? Every time we open up the app, every time we think about whatever our goal is, we have the opportunity to choose that, or we have the opportunity to think of all the excuses that are in the book, right? Which we all talk about. Like, they're all in there. We're tired, we're sick, we're having this is coming, somebody's visiting tomorrow. I mean, it's endless. There's always a reason not to do it. But once you've worked through that and you don't allow yourself to go through that process, then you're going to start seeing that success and you're going to build on that. And then that confidence is going to come that I don't hear that voice anymore. I'm working through that, and I'm being present in what I've said I'm going to do. And I think there's a lot that's really great about group. And then there are some hurdles to that as well. And there's a lot of camaraderie this go round of not doing things because it's kind of this, oh, me either. Oh, good, you're in the me either, group. And that's one option, but the other option is to really like motivate each other and check in with each other and try to help people come up with ways to work around those hurdles, rather than kind of celebrate the kind of joint downfall. And so I guess, we're always looking at how to do this better, and we're always trying to assess the viability of the program and what works for people and what doesn't work for people. And, we definitely want feedback on, what is working and what's not working. Adam and Brian are totally open to hearing that stuff as well to help further develop the program, and to help support you guys. And like they said, they're great cheerleaders, and they're wonderful at kind of shaking their finger at you. So, whatever direction you benefit from, like some people are, like to be called out, and other people really like to be celebrated when they do a good job, and that's more appealing. But I think just kind of figuring out what it is you need to propel you forward. And that's what this whole program is about. Like, how do you become consistent? What is your motivation? And is it strong enough? And if it's not strong enough, then how do we make that stronger? How do we build the vision so that you actually prioritize whatever it is that you came here for? Thoughts?
I think like when you said about like the Me Either Club, that's like a very, like when you're young, I'm sure everyone went through that Me Either thing, because like when I was young too, it was just like, it's just kind of like a coping mechanism. The Me Either is like, it just helps you like kind of justify
exactly
what's going on.
Absolutely. And I'm sure those of you that were in the cohort last time remember that when I woke up and sent you guys an email and said like that I was on the couch, we were having coffee, and I was like, I just don't want to work out today. And I was like, had all these reasons why. And Mike was like, why are you trying to think of reasons why? Just do it. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of smart, I guess. Like,
that's not actually what she said.
I did not.
That's the edited version.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Version right there.
But it really did help me to kind of think about that. Like, why am I if these are really my goals, if I set intentions at the beginning of the year to work out, to meditate, and write in my journal every morning before kids got up, then that's my intention. Like, why am I trying to talk myself out of that being a priority? That was a priority for a very good reason, and it's stabilizing for me. And so, you know, looking at whatever that goal is for you that you came to attain health, like, there was a priority there for you. There was a reason that you wanted to come here, and just kind of putting that back into perspective and thinking about how that's going to enhance your life and how that's going to impact your disease management as well.
This is good. You know, sometimes I get lost in, I don't know, the daily whatever, and then I hear you talk, and all of you who have spoken, and it's like, oh yeah, gotta get motivated. Oh yeah, like, how do I do that? What's my vision? What are my priorities? And I mean, like, you just mentioned a couple things like journaling, and I used to do that, and I never do that anymore. That seems like something that would be pretty effective. I don't know. And Adam saying, you know, you just wakes up to the Rocky theme song, right? I mean, that's cool. That like starts the day. Be like, all right, I'm motivated to do.
Taking this day by storm.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
I think it helps when there's like a bit of like hopefulness or like a glimmer of like possibility of like just positivity at the end to really like help you get the motivation to do stuff. Because if there's no like bright light that you're heading towards, it's like it's hard to kind of just get going sometimes. You're just like, what's the point?
For sure.
And especially for those of you that have tried really hard and haven't seen the success yet, or have had a lot of backward slides, it's so difficult to feel like, well, why am I putting one more thing on my plate when I'm already stressed about what's there? Like, why would I add something else? But as Brian and Adam talked about, like, if you're adding something to your plate that's actually going to eventually enhance it, there's that light, right? But it's like finding where that light is.
Even for me, I think it's like just trying to justify with myself, like just say like I tried everything. Like, even if I do fail, like I tried everything. And that's really, it's like you can try and try and try, and if the cards don't fall the right way, then too bad, but at least like you tried and you can say that you tried. That's probably a big motivator.
Absolutely. How we feel too. Like with Melee, it's like, okay, you give it everything you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes we seem crazy, but
I think something that helps me is remembering that CF doesn't take a day off ever. And there's a lot of days I'm like, I just want to take a day off. Or like on vacation, it is twice the amount of work to go on vacation.
Right.
You don't get a vacation from CF. And so I think being in Attain Health, I also joined in the first cohort. And it's been a process for me to kind of just like realize regularly that CF is not going away. It's not going anywhere. And I need to make this part of my routine now, and commit to that, because this is just, something that, like Emma said, it's your management. So you got to manage it forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember this past January, I had the flu. I had to get intubated. I had the flu and pneumonia and exacerbation all on top of one another at one time. It was like this perfect storm. I just remember, this story so much, because it's like it's how I got back to where I was like, I got out of the hospital and it's like, oh man, I want to get back to doing everything. And I just remember like my first goal when I got out of the hospital and got home was, I'm going to get my own glass of water today. I'm not going to ask anybody to get it for me. And then I remember walking on the treadmill for the first time at 1.2 miles an hour for 5 minutes. and having to stop. I mean, that's where I was at. But the cool part, well, not cool because I still get sick, but like, I went in the hospital this past June, and I just set a goal to do a workout every other day while I was in the hospital. And I was back to my routine in no time compared to, months ago.
Yeah.
So, kind of what Mike said about, just that little bit, like, there's days where like, I don't want to work out, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do the stretches. And if I still feel bad, I'm going to stop. But you know what happens? I can do the stretches and I'm like, okay, what's next? Oh, it's squats. Great. Okay, let's try one. And, just kind of go from there. So it's like you don't have to like, you don't have to complete all this at once. You don't have to do this big encompassing thing. It's all like right now, one of my goals is to kind of change my diet a little bit. And it's, I'm replacing foods slowly. I'm not, just like, oh, I'm not eating dairy anymore, so I'm throwing all my food away. Just kind of, slowly replacing foods over time as well. So I think that's I think what a lot of people lose sight of with the goal is if you're doing one thing towards it, that's still something is the main thing in my mind, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with those goals, always, it's start small. Start with small goals, because once you set a small goal and accomplish it, it just gives you that extra boost of, see, I did it. And then instead of a lot of times, and I've done this, I'm guilty of it, I'll set a big goal of, oh, I'm going to do this and get it done in a week. And then you don't do it, and you might have failed at that goal, and then you feel bad because you're like, well, I didn't make my goal. And so you dwell on the negative part of it. Well, just think small baby steps at a time and, go for a small goal, and then you accomplish it, and then you feel wonderful because you made your goal no matter how small or big it was. And then you set another goal, and you just slowly keep working up that ladder, and then you start to really feel good about things, and it just helps you progress to that next level you want to get to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I find like, especially with working out, like when I'm not well, like I tend to still go to the gym. Like I'll get in the car, go at the same time I usually go, just to like keep the habit of going at that time. Like I may not feel good when I get there. I'll start with stretching and see how I feel. And then who knows, maybe I'll get under a weight, and then I'll start to feel better, and then I'll put more weight. And it kind of like progresses from like not planning to work out to just showing up and finishing an actual workout. So it's just kind of like those little steps that you said, like just start with one small thing and you'll feel good once you get there, and it becomes easier.
Yeah,
great, man.
Awesome advice. Wow. Anybody else have any closing thoughts?
I've got one quick one.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, most of you guys see Kat and Mike as the majority of the time, but I want you guys to know, and I'm sure Adam's the same way, we're here too. If you ever want to chat about stuff or how it is, how we succeeded, where we failed, what we liked, what we didn't like, you can certainly chat with us, and we're both brutally honest, and we'll tell you exactly the process we had over the last year and a half. So we're here for you guys as well.
I just have a question. So prior to this, did you guys ever work out, or was it kind of like this was your first go at really working out in your lifetime?
For me, I didn't. I had a job that I was super busy. I worked 60 hours a week for the most part. My workout was, mowing the yard once a week back then. When I got ready for transplant was the first time I actually got a gym membership. And I tried it, for a month and a half, but I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't having fun. I would get on the treadmill and walk for 15 minutes and thought, oh, that was great. That was good. I had no clue. That was the only previous attempt to working out I had.
Yeah, I would like, I did a lot of hiking and stuff when I lived in Colorado. But then I had to move back to Pennsylvania. But I would, I had nowhere near a consistent workout thing. Like I had been around people that have worked out, and I had done some takeaways from it. But I would have thought the last thing I would be doing when I met Mike was, planks and squats and all these exercises like the body saw, or, just, stuff that you're like, I'm thinking like workout, like, okay, we're going to be doing some stuff on the treadmill. And that's part of my workouts, but I would have never thought it was, my core. And by my core being stronger, like I am able to, I can actually, the cool thing is like, and I'm not a big guy, but I can like see some muscles now. Okay. And I didn't have a lot before. So see a little bit of definition.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I lived a very different lifestyle prior to this. I was, delved in a lot of illegal substance abuse issues. I had substance abuse issues really. So, so I was not, this was not me like 2 years ago at all.
Guys are all amazing, and we're so grateful to get to work with all of you for sure.
Oh, I have a quick question. If you guys, you had mentioned if you had access to this program when you were younger, do you think you actually would have taken advantage of it? Or do you think your situation has kind of like led you to it now? Like when you were healthier, do you think you still would have participated in it? Or would you have just been like, let's wait another 10 years?
That's a great question, and that's a really difficult question, because if you ask me now, I would say absolutely I would. But if I asked myself 10 years ago, I would have been doing what I was doing 10 years ago and said, I don't need to work out yet. And so that's a very tough question, and it's a great thing to think about. And I guess my hopes and message to anybody is that it doesn't matter what level of disease you're at. Take advantage of doing what you can earlier than later, because that will give you more years before you're at our situation where you're staring transplant dead in the face. And I know that's tough to say in the moment, like what you're saying, where you're healthy and you don't think about it. But it's definitely great to hear from other people that have gone through it and done it and seen results, because then you guys know that it can be done, and it does take a lot of hard work, but some of those results are out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Brian, I think that's super helpful to hear. Like doctors say that, like, oh, you should take this seriously now because you're gonna want this lung function back or whatever. But to hear from another person with CF, and you, Adam, too, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I think that's don't stop saying that, because it's way more effective to hear it from someone who's been there and is going through that right now versus, doctors don't know what it's like to live with CF. So seeing your example of taking it seriously and stepping it up, and you guys have both made huge changes in your life. So don't give yourselves enough credit for that.
So my answer is, I'm not going to lie. My answer is no. Like, I wouldn't have done it. But, I think, because of my experiences, I'm just hoping like I can get through to one person to like, everybody takes CF, pretends like they don't have it until they get kicked in the nuts, is the way I look at it. People pop along, oh, I have CF, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Well then, I did it to myself, like I used to tell my wife, I'm invincible. I can do anything. And I relied on, a poor health lifestyle, and I relied on the meds to bounce me back every time. Well, then that one time didn't happen, and it just went downhill faster than fast could be. So, 10, 15 years ago, if somebody came to me, I've been like, yeah, like that's not me, right? So,
I think I would have done the working out part, but I think I would have been really reluctant to meet with other CF people.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're saying, Adam, it wasn't until my doctor walked in and said, you're going to die very soon. And I went, oh, shit, maybe I should do something about this. Mm-hmm. And I see Attain Health as like, finally, like as a couple year long, like trying to pull myself out of really, really bad habits. And Attain has been like, this is what I've been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whole holistic approach, not just working out, because I always worked out. I did CrossFit and triathlon and all that stuff, not very consistently. But having this connection is made a huge difference for me, even though I need to still work on my consistency.
Thank you guys all for your input and your thoughtfulness for each other and what you guys are all going through, and for sharing your lives with us. We know this is not not comfortable at times, and definitely not stepping into it for the first time. I know, I feel like I pulled every one of you into it at some point or another. Like, come to the dark side. We will. But we're just very glad to be able to meet you guys.
We're grateful right back.
Yeah. You guys inspire us for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I think seeing parents that are so like active in their child's care, like I grew up in like my parents always, or my dad was always like, you're not sick, like you look okay. So like I always grew up with this mentality where like Adam had said, like I'm invincible. And the reality was like I had to just kind of learn about CF on my own. So to see like parents that are very like into it is like a very nice like fresh air sort of thing.
Thanks, Matt. Well, you guys help us a lot. We learn so much from all of you. And it helps May too. She's and Ellisy, just like knowing that you're all out there, and it changes how they see the disease and how they see just what it's all going to look like, because they feel like they have a picture that's different than what it was before, when it's just this elusive like who knows what that really is. But now it's Jillian and Adam and Brian, and that's much more welcoming. So May will come in at some point and meet all of you, don't worry. She usually sneaks over the shoulder.
Photo bombing.
Yeah, she's got that.
Absolutely. But yeah, so thank you guys for making time for this, and we'll be in touch and see you guys this week.
Thank you all.
Thank you guys
so much.
Thanks everybody.
Bye bye.
Have a great
Oh yeah, shameless plug, Tuesday night group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I shot you guys all an email. You're more than welcome to join. If you have questions about it beforehand, feel free to email and ask me what it's about. I'd be more than happy to tell you.
I really need cast members, so I hope you come.
Awesome.
Bye guys. See you Tuesday.
See you guys.